My name is Dr Jools Page. I work at the University of Brighton and I'm a researcher, and I'm really interested in relationships between professional adults and children in daycare, and I'm particularly interested in those close interactions and the relationships they make over a period of time with the adults who are significant in their lives, which through my own research and working with others, I've coined the notion of professional love.
My name is Liz Clark and I am a dance artist and artistic director of Turned on Its Head, which is a dance company that makes projects and participatory performances for 0 to 4s. I'm really interested in the co-creative process between adults and children and how they share that power and a child's sense of agency.
There was an opportunity to apply for a small pot of funding through the University of Brighton to carry out some pilot work where we could really find ways to bring our two worlds together. Because I already had an established relationship with London Early Years Foundation, I approached them to see whether or not they would be interested in taking part in a project of this nature, and they were really excited and delighted. And Soho Nursery in particular were the ones who were put forward to us because of the involvement they already have in the arts world.
I started to work in early year settings looking at how movement can be a tool for communication, expression, but also for connection, and really focusing on the body, so focusing on the nuances of expression, so gaze, eye contact, the dynamics of how children are moving. And so this project was really about opening up the dialogue about love, care and intimacy. And doing that through movement, well, I feel like it's perfect. We've been looking at using improvisation tools and techniques to build that connection between the adults and the children.
The adults have to do so much. The practitioners are bound by curriculum, by policies, by procedures. Quite rightly so, of course, you have to have all of these things in place. But actually, what I think that maybe gets lost sometimes is that opportunity to delight in young children and to be in the moment. And so to watch you demonstrating and helping the adults to engage with the children by purely just mirroring what the child chooses to do has been so affirming, I think, for the children, but so much more for the practitioners. And I think that's what's been so wonderful, is to see the practitioners come to life. But he's obviously a very active child, isn't he? And what you were able to do was to give him that permission, I say permission in inverted commas, to move around, because that was good for him. He really liked doing that, because you were doing it as well. It was just delightful to watch. It was a privilege to watch you.
Yeah,
it was a privilege.
Yeah. Alice and Steph are both currently professional dancers, and it's going to be interesting to explore what happens with the physicality of those duets when we have those dancers in place. I mean, I love that we did the dancing, you guys did the dancing first, because that set a really beautiful invitation. But I think in that moment, the thing that I enjoyed the most when you started dancing with the children was watching the faces of the staff. Because they were absolutely 100% immersed in that world that you were creating with their children in charge, but just the delight that they of seeing their children move authentically as themselves and seeing you mirroring them and tuning into them. It was really lovely.
When you're kind of workshopping it or you're working with the children, it's interesting to see that many of the children are quite surprised that you're trusting in them, because they're so used to the hierarchy of how it works, that they're quite surprised to see you copy them and see you really engage and really trust what they're doing. So they're reticent, not necessarily out of shyness, but they're reticent at first because they think, oh, I've got autonomy, I've got power, and that leads them to making authentic decisions about their own self-expression, their own ideas, and being heard, which is so important. And as long as teachers and practitioners can remember that, whether it's they're using the medium of dance or the other creative arts or just in their everyday practice, then they will get so much more from the children, and the children will get so much more from themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
I looked around the room and there was just so many meaningful dances happening where children were leading those moments. Everybody looked very immersed, very engaged, very joyful, very connected. And I think those kind of spaces are really special.
If we really want to trust children and give them agency and give them voice and give them opportunities to be seen, we have to give them lots and lots of experiences to be their authentic selves.
Yes.
And that's what I feel has happened today.
I would like to think that that's on getting along the way to achieving professional love, that absolute acceptance of who that child is in that moment, no matter what they're doing or how they are presenting in the world. It's that radical acceptance, and it's the adult stepping radically into those children's shoes that I think makes the difference.
So these are the hallmarks of professional love. They are the steps that I would like to see that are so intangible. So I think what you've been able to do, Liz, is to bring movement into that space for those adults, and we started to see something quite tangible. He felt you in his world, and so therefore he came to you. And I think you felt that, didn't you?